Welcome to the Breadwinner Podcast. This is the show for sourdough microbakery owners who are building a sustainable, successful, profitable business from their home. If you are already in business or if you're dreaming of starting one, this is the place for you. I'm your host, Caroline Bauer. I own a successful in-home sourdough bakery, and I am here to share everything I've learned that works and that doesn't, plus everything that I'm researching along the way, so we can build thriving businesses together. Welcome back to another episode of the Breadwinner Podcast. In episode 8, we talked about using social media to grow your local customer base. Today's episode is a part 2 where we're diving a little bit deeper into social media and getting even more tactical. You'll come away from this episode with some really useful tips and tricks and how-tos to use social media even more effectively. The goal of the episode today is to really drill down on your goals for social media and how to accomplish them. So that's exactly where we're starting. We are starting with establishing your own social media goals. This is going to be really helpful as you are trying to grow your accounts. As you're growing your social media accounts, it's important to know why you're growing them, who you're trying to reach, and what your goals are. Are you looking to engage local followers and stay right in your geographic area to attract the buyers who will be shopping from you? Is your goal a little bit different and you're aiming to grow a larger account to reach a wider audience? Maybe with more of an educational focus on your account, teaching people how to bake. Are you planning to use your account to share mostly sales, new products, and updates on your business? Or do you want to use your account more as a lifestyle or educational platform? Perhaps you want to monetize your account down the road by sharing affiliate links or Amazon links. Whatever your goal, they're all good goals, but just be clear about it and understand where you're headed. I encourage you to spend a little bit of time sitting down, maybe with a pen and paper, and really think about why you're on social media for your business and what you'd like to see in 6 months or in a year or two, how you'd like to use the account and what your goals are. After you've decided that and you're clear on whether you're building a small, engaged local following or a larger, wider audience and why you're there, what you're trying to communicate through that account, the next step is to identify your audience. So the question you're asking here is, who are you speaking to? Is it local customers or a broader online audience? Understanding your audience will guide you in the type of content you create and the way that you interact with your followers. So once you know why you're sharing your content and who you're sharing it with, the next thing to do is to identify your platforms. If you've listened to a few of my episodes, you maybe already have gotten clear on this, but the platforms that are most common and probably the most useful for microbakeries are Instagram, Facebook, and the Nextdoor app. Each platform has its own unique strengths, and your goal really is to hone in on which one or ones are going to benefit you the most, and then optimize your content on those accounts. So let's talk a little bit about what it means to optimize. Now, for the purpose of this episode, we really are going to lean into Instagram. And a lot of what we do on Instagram is transferable over to Facebook. So for myself, for example, I put a lot of my content for my bakery on Instagram, and then I just go ahead and share it over to Facebook, and that's pretty effective. So we're going to focus in on our Instagram profile for a minute. One of the really common mistakes that I see is that I'll go to someone's profile and I do not see any links. There's no ordering instructions. There's not even a location. This is really troublesome if you're trying to reach your local audience. If someone lands on your page and doesn't know where you are or how to order from you, then you're missing out on customers. So your Instagram profile should have a profile photo. This should be either your logo or a clear photo of your own face. And then your bio is really important. The top line, the name field, is searchable. So it's important to use that strategically. I recommend using your name and then a dividing line and then something along the lines of, artisan sourdough in your town or sourdough microbakery in your town. Something that is going to pop up in search results. So using the word sourdough and bakery and your town are all really important because those are likely to be words that are searched when someone's trying to find bread near you. If all you have in your Instagram name field is your business name or your name, I recommend adding a little bit more in there to optimize it with what you do and where you do it. Now, in the bio, you have a few characters where you can add a little bit more information. So in this, what you'll want to do is add a very quick little overview of what you offer. So that could be something like artisan sourdough bread and baked goods, or organic sourdough bread, or something along those lines. And then a clear call to action. Call to action is what you want your customers to do. It's an invitation. The call to action is really important because our brains need directions. So it should be something like click the link in the bio to order, or order here with an arrow pointing down to your link. And then finally, you'll want to add your location as well. If you are specifically growing a local audience and trying to reach people who are local to you, the people who will be buying bread from you, make sure that you tag your location in your Instagram account, Facebook too, but make sure that your location is in there so people don't come to your account and then not know where to find you. Then in the link field, you're going to want to put your website or your ordering platform. Make sure that you have a link in there. Don't just say DM to order. Put an ordering link in there. That's going to make it a lot easier on you and on your customers to order from you. And then the final thing to optimize your Instagram profile is to post an introduction post. This could be just one picture or a little carousel of photos of you and a little bit about you. This allowed your customers to get to know you and connect with you, and you're going to pin that post as the top post on your profile, or one of the 3 top posts, so that people don't have to scroll through photos of bread to see a little bit about you. People really want to know the person behind the account. So even if you don't share your face very often, put up one post with your face and an introduction about you and pin that to the top. Now that we've optimized our profile, let's talk a little bit about posting and setting your goals for posting. So keeping in mind that the more you post and the more strategically you post, the more you're going to grow, you'll want to set your goals to understand what's realistic for you when you're setting your goals. That might be posting 3 times a month. It might be posting once a week. It might be posting 4 or 5 times a week. Be realistic about your capacity, both your capacity to create content and write captions, but also just your capacity to be on your phone, engaging and responding to comments on the posts. If you feel like once a week is a healthy balance for you, then do that and just commit to consistently posting once a week. That could be a highlight of the week or a menus are open or something simple, but just show up consistently. If you know that once a week you're putting up a post, you're much more likely to commit to that and not let a few weeks go by without posting. Try not to go more than 2 weeks or so without putting up anything. The reason being is that people who are coming to your account, new people who don't know you well, or people who are just stumbling across your account, are going to click through a couple of posts. And if they see that you haven't posted in 3 weeks or a couple of months, they're going to assume that you're not active. So it's important to be regularly posting, even if that's only once a week or a few times a month. Just make sure that it's clear to people that you are still in business. So when you're posting, think about what comes natural to you as far as format of content. We're going to go a little bit deeper on that in just a moment, but think about whether posts with text or videos come easier. Do you prefer how-tos, educational content? What kind of feels natural, if anything? And if there's one particular category that feels easier, I encourage you to kind of lean into that and let that get you some momentum, especially if you're struggling with posting consistently. Speaking of struggling with posting consistently, I recently polled my audience on Instagram and asked you all what your social media struggles were. The majority said coming up with content. A lot of you said it's staying consistent, and a lot of you said you just don't know what to post. I relate to this completely, and I have found that having a content calendar for the month takes a lot of the pressure off of me to think up content on the fly. So if I have a month of posts planned out, I don't have to make a post every single day. But if I'm feeling stuck, I can go back to that content calendar and choose one of the post ideas and create something about that. If you need help with this, or if you want something done for you, I have a content calendar subscription. This is a brand new service and it is available from the link in the show notes. You get a full calendar of content ideas, as well as Canva templates that you can customize with your own photos, colors, fonts. But they're kind of a done for you format for a few different types of Instagram posts. So you just go in Canva and make it your own. The content calendar also has a few fun business promotional ideas in there as well. So if you're feeling stuck, this is a really good way to get you unstuck. For the cost of $7 a month, if this brings you 1 or 2 new customers who see a post that you wouldn't have posted otherwise, you'll make your money back. Plus, it'll help you get unstuck and keep that forward momentum going as you're reaching your goals to build your account. Like I said, that's down in the show notes. For the month of August, for podcast listeners, you can jump on the early founders discount of just $7 a month. This will go up to $9 a month starting in September. Okay, back to creating content. So one of my favorite strategies, and something that I am continually working on getting better at, is batch content creating. This means you're creating a lot of content all at once so that you have a backlog, in a sense, of content ready to post when you're ready. So you create 5 or 6 or 10 posts in one sitting, and then you have a week or 2 weeks of content ready for you, and just you get to post it when you have a minute rather than sitting down and trying to crank something out in a 10-minute block and not knowing what to do. One of the hardest parts for a lot of us, I think, is the actual filming and taking photos. So one strategy that is very effective is just sticking your phone on a tripod while you're working and take a few minutes of content while you're folding your dough or while you're mixing it, little parts of your process throughout the day. Don't overthink it. Just let it sit on your phone. And then when you're ready, you'll turn that into Instagram content. But you don't have to film and then post. You're filming one day so that it'll be ready in a few days when you need to post. Same with photos. With photos, good lighting is really important. So if you're having a hard time figuring out lighting, I recommend you go near a window or even step outside on your porch. Go somewhere where you have bright, natural, indirect lighting. So the sun isn't shining directly on you, it's filtered, but you have that bright light. If you're inside, turn off all the other lights in the room and just let the window light be the light in your photo. So the reason for turning off the rest of the lights in the room is twofold. First, it helps avoid weird shadows. And secondly, if you have room lights on, sometimes it'll turn your photos yellowy. So if you have those off, you just let the natural light do the talking and your photos will look much more clear and just a gentle, softer, more natural light. Okay, talking about types of content. There are a few main types of content on Instagram and similarly on Facebook. You have your stories, you have your reels and your posts, and then you have live videos as well. So reels are really great for reaching brand new people who wouldn't see you otherwise. Most of the time, reels are the type of content that get the most reach. They get shown to people who don't follow you most commonly. Stories are typically seen primarily just by the people who do follow you. And these are the engaged people who keep telling the algorithm that they want to hear from you. So stories are really good for nurturing and connecting with the people who already follow you. This is a great way to share behind the scenes, to let them in on who you are as a person and let them know the baker behind the brand. And then static posts, these are posts that are not videos, they're just your photos and your graphics on your feed. Typically, those reach primarily the people who already follow you. So they're a great way to nurture your current audience And these are a great place to share updates such as sales and promotions, as well as education. If you want to lean into the education side and teach more about sourdough bread or how to's, the static posts and like a carousel post where you have a series of photos are a great way to do that. As far as Instagram Reels, if you're anything like me, these can be tricky. I have historically really struggled with posting reels. I have a hard time coming up with content and then having the right videos, and then I overthink it, and then I spend 20 minutes filming a video only to use 20 seconds of it, and then I don't really even like it, and I overthink it some more. I've recently found a much simpler way, and I've eliminated a lot of the overthinking in my Instagram Reels process, and it's been super game changing. So I'm going to share that with you. In Instagram, when you go into the button to create your Reels, along the top, there is an option to select a template. So scroll over along the top and click on templates, and you'll see some options that already have music and kind of their own stock videos in them. And it makes it really easy to just plug in your own content there. So scroll through the templates, find one with music that you like that feels like it aligns with the type of content you want to create, click into it, and it will guide you through inserting your own media. So go back to that video footage that you took a couple days ago and add a few video clips from that day. So maybe you have a video clip of you mixing your dough, and then a video clip of you shaping your dough, and then a video clip of you putting it in the fridge. So grab a little few seconds of each of those, and the template will size it down just right, and it'll be synced up to the music. You don't have to worry about any of that. Then all you need to do is in the editing part of you can adjust the section of your video a little bit if you need to, change the text on the reel itself to fit what you're trying to communicate, add your caption, and that's it. So it takes out so much of the frustration and kind of the overthinking because the music is there for you. You don't have to worry about selecting your music, and your clips are sized. So I like to choose the shorter ones that are just a few seconds long with 4 or 5 clips, and then I add just a few seconds of my own footage in each of those. And it turns out as a beautiful reel that I only had to spend a few minutes on. Sometimes I'll sit down and I'll use the templates to make 5 or 6 reels like this and save to my drafts so that I have content ready to go and I don't have to think about it when I am ready to post. Now, when you are writing your caption and your calls to action are really important. So don't just throw some text up there and call it good. Don't overthink it either, but do be strategic about this. The most important thing is to have a clear call to action. For example, if your post is about your menu that's open this week and you have a certain time frame that people need to order, explain that. And then your call to action should be something like, click the link in my bio to order. Be very clear. There's no wishy-washiness. And that gives your customers or your readers very specific instructions on what you want them to do. If you don't leave that call to action, it's much more likely that they'll just keep scrolling. They'll think, oh, her orders are open, maybe I'll circle back later. But if you have that call to action, they're much more likely to actually go to your bio and click the link to order. When you're writing your caption, if you're anything like me, this might be another thing that you overthink. You can allow it to be less is more. Some people love to pour out their hearts in their caption. Other people struggle with it. If this is somewhere where you struggle, there are really helpful tools available to us in our current age of technology. One of my favorites to get me unstuck on occasion is ChatGPT. I do not take the ChatGPT caption and just copy and paste it. I use it to create a draft to get me moving, and then I put my own voice on it. But I go to ChatGPT and write something like, please act as an Instagram expert and help me draft a scroll-stopping Instagram caption. The audience is X, Y, and Z, and the post is about XYZ, and the caption should communicate XYZ. So this is where I usually have an idea of what I want to communicate, but I'm having a hard time putting it into clear, articulate words. So I will just stream of consciousness put this into ChatGPT. So something like the caption should communicate that bakers don't need to spend thousands of dollars to grow their microbakery business. And then I might elaborate a little bit more. And then I would say the call to action is XYZ. Please write it in a casual, friendly, chatty tone. You can even give it something like in the voice of someone who inspires you or a podcaster that you love to listen to. Sometimes I use Amy Porterfield, who is a business podcaster that I admire, and I really appreciate the tone of voice that she speaks with. So ChatGPT will take that and give you a really great draft. And that's when you put your own spin on it. You don't just copy and paste, but you let that get you unstuck. You don't have to take my exact prompt either. You can put your own spin on that, as well as the tone. You can say, write it in a professional tone. And then finally, in your caption, you may or may not want to add in some hashtags. On my bakery page, I really don't usually use hashtags. However, on my business account for this podcast, Caroline Bauer _ sourdough, I do use hashtags because that helps me reach a wider audience. On my bakery page, I really am only trying to reach very local customers. I do not want people who are not local to me following me, so I'm not trying to reach them at all. On my bakery page, I'm not tagging sourdough or microbakery business. I am just strictly adding in a location tag and leaving out the rest of the hashtags because I don't want to reach a wide audience over there. So consider your goals and use hashtags that make sense for those goals. So if you're trying to reach Sourdough Microbakery, you can use relevant hashtags. But if you're just trying to reach your community, you might use location-specific hashtags like your town small business. If you're posting about your local farmers market or something, you can also tag the farmers market in your post or add them as a collaborator so that your post will show up for them as well and they can also share it. This will help increase your visibility and reach a wider, broader audience. Now, I touched on it a little bit, but I'll share a little bit about my personal strategy and my bakery social media. Like I said, I am not trying to grow a large audience over there. So my strategy is really to focus on growing my presence on Facebook in our local geographic groups. Our town has a few groups that are like mom groups that are really engaged or social networking groups. And so I share in those at least once a week usually. And that is the way that I attract the majority of my new followers. That and word of mouth. And then I nurture those connections by getting them to come over and follow my Facebook page or my Instagram page. And that's where I kind of allow them to get to know me. So I post usually about once a week on my Facebook and my Instagram, and then I post in my stories a couple times a week. So my goal with my Facebook and Instagram page for my bakery really is just to nurture local connections and grow a little bit at a time. Like I said, I don't want a large audience. I just want a handful of really engaged people who really want to hear from me, and then they want to tell their friends about me. However, my goals on my business account for this podcast are a lot different. I want to reach a very specific audience, but there are a lot more people in that very specific audience. So in this account, I am trying to reach sourdough microbakery owners who want to build a thriving business without sacrificing their quality of life and their sleep and their sanity. And so I am using hashtags and strategies that are very specific to reach those people. I'm not trying to reach my local community at all. And so I don't do local hashtags on this account. So hopefully that helps you consider and think about how your goals are so important. And a strategy that might work well on one account is not going to be relevant on another one. It is totally okay to not want to go viral, to not want to build a huge account, but it's also okay if those are your goals. Just be clear on what you're trying to accomplish through your social media so that you can strategically pursue those goals. And then once you're pursuing those goals, commit to showing up consistently and in a way that makes sense for you. All right, that wraps up today's episode on using social media effectively. I really hope you found these tips and strategies helpful. Maybe you learned something that you haven't thought about before. Remember, social media is a powerful tool for growing your sourdough microbakery. So make the most of it If you need help making the most of it, don't forget to go down into the show notes to subscribe to the monthly content calendar. If you subscribe in the month of August, you'll get the founder's discount and lock in the monthly price of just $7 a month. You're getting a full month of content ideas, as well as customizable templates and fun seasonal bonus ideas to help you get unstuck, reach the right people, and grow your business. Okay, if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the Breadwinner podcast wherever you listen to podcasts and leave a review so other people can find the show too. And it always makes my day if you screenshot the show and tag me on social media so we can connect. I'm Caroline Bauer, BOWER_sourdough, and I love to reshare your posts so we can all get excited and connected together. All right, make sure you're following the show so you don't miss the new episodes every Monday and Thursday. I'll be back very soon, and until then, happy baking.